Wise people are peacemakers. They're not troublemakers. Wise people don't carry chip on their shoulder. Wise people are not always looking for a fight. Do you love a good fight? Then you're not wise. The Bible says wisdom is peace-loving. Fools love to fight. Just go on the internet there. It's full of them. Just look up any blog. Foolish people love to fight. They love to argue. They love to mix it up with people. Some people get into politics just because they love the fight. That's not smart. It's dumb. It's foolish. The Bible says wisdom is peace-loving. It's not always trying to provoke anger. So here's the second thing. If I want to be wise in my relationships, I won't antagonize your anger. I won't antagonize your anger. In other words, I don't push your hot buttons intentionally. I don't provoke your rage. I don't egg you on. Now, fact is, if you've been around anybody for any length of time, you pretty soon figure out what irritates them. And you file that back in the back of your mind as tool to use when we get in an argument. It's a weapon of mass destruction. And you know what pushes their button, and you know what just ticks them off. And when you get in an argument and they say something that hurts you, offends you, or slights you in any way, then you pull out the big gun, you use the weapon of mass destruction, you push their hot button, and you go, and they go, and you go, works every time. You know what the Bible calls that? Stupid. You're not getting any closer to the resolution. You're not helping the relationship. In fact, you're hurting it. It is not wise. If I'm wise, I don't antagonize your anger. I don't use weapons of mass destruction that I know are going to tick you off. I don't push your buttons even when I know what your buttons are, and even when you've already pushed mine. I'm going to be the wiser person, and I'm not going to push back. Proverbs 20 verse 3 says this: any fool can start an argument. Any fool can start arguments. The wise thing is to stay out of them. So don't be baited by internet trolls who, they'll say something off the wall and then you get stuck arguing with them online. You don't even care about these people. He says, don't get baited. Don't get baited, and don't antagonize people's anger. You're going to antagonize somebody's anger when you start comparing them to anybody else. It always makes them mad. Why can't you be like so-and-so? Or you're always like so-and-so. Or you're just like your mother. Oh, that's very helpful. Okay. You can guess the predictable response to that one. You're just like your mother. Oh, thank you. Or you're just like your dad. 2 Corinthians 10:12 says, anybody who compares is a fool. It's foolish. It's not wise. Never compare your wife, your husband, your kids, your yard, your boss, or anybody else, because everybody's unique. Comparing antagonizes anger. Condemning antagonizes anger. Don't do it. When you start laying on the guilt in a relationship, you start trying to make people feel guilty for what they've done, you start trying to make them feel ashamed, you should be ashamed. All you're going to do is get the exact opposite of what you expect. It doesn't work. It's foolish. Ladies, let me explain something to you. Every man is fighting his conscience all the time. Whether he realizes it or not, he may not even realize it, but every man is constantly fighting his conscience. When you decide to be a man's conscience, guess who he gets angry at? He takes all that anger he's fighting against himself and his own conscience and his own ethics, and he just turns it on you. Is that what you want? No, you don't want that. So that's a foolish thing to do. Don't try to be somebody else's God. Don't try to be somebody else's conscience. You should, you must, you ought, you need to, you always, you never. Anytime you use those words, dumb. Because all you're going to do is you're going to take that guy who's fighting his own conscience, and all of a sudden he starts fighting you because you represent his conscience. It doesn't work. Comparing and condemning, and number 3, contradicting, always makes people mad. You ever watched a spouse correct every detail of a story while the other person's telling it? It's irritating. Anybody want to give a testimony? Okay, it's irritating. If I'm wise, I won't antagonize your anger. If you're wise, you don't sweat the small stuff. Okay, you just don't sweat it. You don't sweat the small stuff. You don't get hooked into it. William James, a famous psychologist, said, wisdom is the art of knowing what to overlook. And there's some stuff you just need to overlook. And you're not trying to make a big deal of that. You're not contradicting. Proverbs 14:29 says this, a wise man controls his temper. He knows that anger causes mistakes. Have you ever said or done anything stupid out of anger? Yes. Because when you get angry, your intelligence goes out the window. When you get angry, you say and do stupid things that are actually self-defeating. Did you know there's only one letter difference between anger and danger? When you get angry, you are in dangerous territory. You are about to hurt yourself with your own anger. The Bible says, wise man controls his temper. He knows that anger causes mistakes. So if I'm wise, I don't compromise my integrity and I don't antagonize your anger. Number 3, the third thing the Bible says, wisdom is gentle all the time. It's gentle all the time. It is courteous, the Bible says in the Living Bible. The NIV translates it considerate. If I'm wise, I'm always going to be considerate. Look it up here on the screen. Philippians 4:5 says this in the Bible. Let everyone see that you are considerate in most of everything you do. Oh, it didn't say that. It says, let everybody see that you are considerate in what? All you do. I don't like that word. I looked it up in the original Greek. It means all. Wait a minute. You mean I have to be considerate when people are inconsiderate to me? Yes. I have to be considerate to clerks who are jerks? Yes. When people are rude to me, I don't get to be rude back? No, not if I'm smart. If I'm foolish, I can get back. But if I want to be wise, if I want to have wisdom, I am always, always, always considerate. I am not allowed to call you names. I am not allowed to be rude to you. I'm not allowed to slur you back. I'm not allowed to get even because that puts me on the same level as you. I am always to be considerate. Now, this is so important. Wise people are considerate even when people are blasting away at them. Why? Because being considerate is the antidote to the 2 most common mistakes, foolish mistakes that you make in relationships. The 2 most common mistakes that you make in relationships. And the first mistake you make is we react to what people say and ignore how people feel. Dumb. We pay too much attention to their words and not enough attention to their emotions. The words don't really matter. People say stuff when they're angry they don't even mean. They use words they don't even intend to use. They exaggerate things. But you need to look behind the words and look at the emotion, because that's what it is. People don't always say what they mean, but they always feel what they feel. And so if you are wise in a relationship, you stop focusing on what your kids or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or your boss says that just ticks you off, and you start looking behind and go, what's the emotion they're feeling there, and why are they feeling that emotion? That's what wise people do. You see, being considerate means simply mindful of the feelings of others. To be considerate means mindful of the feelings of others. Not the words, but the feelings. And if I'm considerate, even when you blast me, I look beyond and I go, well, now what would cause them to feel that way? And I just let the words roll right past me, and I go, what would cause them to be that uptight, that irritated, that rude? Hurt people always hurt people. Unkind people are those who need your kindness the most. They need massive doses of kindness. When people are rude and unkind, they are screaming to the world, I'm in pain. People who are not in pain are kind. People who are always in pain are unkind and rude. Hurt people hurt people. So you look beyond the words and you look at the feelings. Romans 15:2 says this, here on the screen, we must be considerate. That means mindful of the feelings of others, of the doubts, everybody's got doubts, and the fears, everybody's got fears of others. Let's please the other person, not ourselves, in doing what's good for him and build him up. We react to what people say and ignore what they're feeling. Big mistake. The other mistake we do is we invalidate any feelings that we don't feel ourselves. I don't feel it, so you shouldn't. If I don't feel what you feel, then your feeling is dumb, it's irrational, it's illogical, it makes no sense, and you shouldn't feel it. And we just dismiss it because we don't feel it, then you shouldn't feel it. That's foolish. That is not wise.